I am Marcus Troy. I am over 60. I just turned 61 this year. Yeah. But that's a chronological age and has nothing to do with the reality of my being. And today is March the 8th, 2021. 1,603, I think. I lost 4, but I gained 8. It's a photo that Charles Chesler took in a photo shoot where I'm looking away and laughing, heartily laughing, because that is very much me. Most of the pictures that people take of me that are just candid shots have my mouth open laughing, because that just tends to be who I am. There are a lot of those around the house because that, yeah, so, yeah. My connection to Blackwolves is I met Logan Riley Bruner in a activated actor class that Natalie Roy was teaching at the Actors Green Room, the brick and mortar, when they had the brick and mortar. And then through him, met Jacob and Jeremy and, you know, this whole slew of extremely talented young artists. And so that's my connection. And through them have, am actually learning the business, which is really interesting. You know, it's so nice to be taught by younger people. To me, truly, it means a greater hope for a better industry. And by that, I mean that this industry has been so staid and has been so determinant upon stereotypes, upon the power structure of the old guard of white men in the power seats, playing with the money, making the determinations of what's going to work and what's not going to work and why we need to do it this way. And there are so many stories that need to be told and should be told with actors who can truly represent the characters that we're going to see on screen that have yet to be done. And while it is changing, it still has such a long way to go. And I grant you that attitude does reflect our society, but the mere fact that this young group is representing and truly doing the work and starting to change that industry gives me great hope for not just the industry itself, but society at large, because it's really going to start showing stories. Like I think about my family in Moorfield. They don't go anywhere. Right? I mean, they've been in this valley. This is where they are. Their exposure to the outside world is whatever they see on the TV or in the movies. And this is what they have in their heads. And so how are they going to know about anything? I mean, if it wasn't for me being gay and being so open about it, that I'm their experience of that. And it's like, well, I'm not even the normal. There's so much more out there because of the way that I was raised, that this generation can truly show to people that would otherwise not be exposed to others, and thereby expanding compassion, knowledge, experience, questions. And so this truly does, Blackwolves truly does give me great hope for the future of this industry. It just does. Interestingly, the party scene that you guys were getting ready to film in Jacob's apartment, and being able to show up there and, you know, just bring some champagne and bring some, you know, glasses and whatever I could contribute to that, but feeling the energy that was there first. Because once you hit that space, the energy that you guys had was astounding. And seeing the prep and seeing the seriousness, the business side of you, in what it was that you were doing, that this is a serious production. We are really doing this. We're making sure that it happens the way it needs to happen. And then seeing the result of that, where it's just a big party and everybody's having a great time and it's all of that. And then recognizing that all of the work that went into that before and all the work that went into that afterwards, it was really interesting. And it's a great memory for me. Yeah. Like I've said, I don't blend into the background, and so I do tend to get pulled forward a lot. One of the ones that sticks out that was kind of fun was in Younger, they were shooting a scene and I was placed, and then they do a take, and then they cut, and then they come up and the AD goes, I'm sorry, we've got to move you out. We're going to trade you out with another actor. And I was like, okay, right. I mean, fine, whatever. I'm making my money. It's fine. I don't care. So they shift me and put another actor in. And then the AD comes back up and he goes, just so you know, you didn't do anything wrong, but you were drawing focus. Whenever the camera was rolling, all eyes went to you and not to the star. So we needed to move you. And I was like, well, then put me in the scene. But no, it was fine. So there was that. The other one was Gina Gershon. Again, this was on set of Younger. Gina Gershon was playing a rock star who had written a memoir that they wanted published. And I was playing her wellness guru guy. And so I was giving her electric shocks, the electric muscle shock things, an EMS machine, shocking the crap out of her. And my expressions were, I guess, good. And the director was like, all right, now let's just get some shots of Marcus's face. They were never used, but to know that, just to have the director go, let's just get some shots of Marcus's face. I was like, oh, that's pretty funny. Okay. Yeah. There's been a lot of really interesting moments in this business, but yeah, so those are the ones that kind of stand out. Because now I want to go, well, I want to see that. I want that footage, but oh well. Right now, I'm excited about the trajectory of our industry in that increased awareness of diversity, having actors who are the roles play the roles. That's exciting me. More recognition of people of color, more recognition of women. The one area that I'm still not very happy about is the lack of gay representation for gay characters. The accolades that Stanley Tucci and Colin Firth are getting for this movie that they've done, where it's a couple that have lived together and one of them is getting dementia, so they want to revisit. I'm like, well, I'm sorry. The AIDS crisis, we lived that. Saying goodbye to our partners, burying our partners, we lived that. Why are we not given a seat at the table? And I recognize that straight men playing gay characters win Oscars. And I will never fault Tom Hanks for Philadelphia. It was a brilliant performance. It would not have gotten the same recognition for the AIDS crisis had it not been Tom Hanks. And I've made my comments on social media and been raked over the coals that, well, then that means that only gay actors can only play gay characters. And I was said, no, I want a seat at the table. Let the best actor win the part. But don't say, oh, no, they can't be there because they're gay and the industry won't accept a gay actor. And let a straight person play it because then it's acceptable. Well, society will accept whatever the hell we put on the screen. We just have to educate them, and that's our job. And if the performance is going to resonate, then the performance is going to resonate. So let the best actor be cast, but give every actor the opportunity. Let the gay actors be able to come into the room and read for the part. And if they're the best ones, then hire them. That's my little soapbox right now. If we're going to do diversity training, if we're going to do diversity, make it across the board, give everyone the same opportunities to be able to work. I've always said my ultimate favorite is What's Up, Doc? Because it's a screwball comedy, and I think the performances are brilliant. The writing was wonderful. The direction was wonderful. The wackiness was, I mean, it was just, it's such a fantastic screwball comedy out of the era of screwball comedies. So it stands on its own as a screwball comedy. Another one that I really like is The Awful Truth, again, a screwball comedy, but the performances were really good. I hate the ending of it, but that was during the Hayes era. So, you know, there's only so much that you could do with that. But yeah, I really like What's Up, Doc? I think that the writing is extremely clever. I think the direction is fantastic. I think the performances were spot on. I find it to be a really, really well done movie. And comedy is difficult to do. And I think they did such a great job with it. It's my go-to. I'm leaning towards the purples. The aubergines, the lavenders, the mauves, that sort of thing. I mean, you can see, look at this. Yeah. So yeah, I'm kind of leaning to that, but because it goes so well with the grayness of the beard and the blue of the backdrop. So it seems to be a nice color palette for when doing auditions and things, yeah. I do, actually, yeah. The past couple of days, I've been feeling a lot of pressure of stagnation in my career, not doing enough to self-promote, you know, all that sort of crap. And so, you know, that was this weekend. It's like, oh, we're having martinis this weekend and we're calling it a day. It's fine. We'll regroup. I think a lot of pressure went away after the election, but there's still a long way to go. So, yeah. My husband says that I don't suffer fools lightly. I would say one of my major pet peeves are individuals that do not educate themselves in whatever the subject might be or whatever the attitude might be, whatever the situation is, and then make declarative statements and claim facts that are not, or make decisions for their lives that are ultimately potentially harmful because of their lack of willingness to educate themselves into this. And an example being that one of our concierge is a woman of color and was talking about the vaccine and that she doesn't want to take it. She's not going to take it. She doesn't trust it. And she read a story about a woman who got the vaccine, and this woman was a doctor and died. And I said, well, where did you read the story? She goes, on my phone. I said, so the internet? Well, no, on my phone, but on your phone, on the internet. Yeah, but did the story say what she died from? I mean, did it happen that she got the shot and then walked out of the building and was hit by a bus, but because she got the shot, it's a COVID problem because COVID vaccine problem, because had she not been there getting the vaccine, she wouldn't have stepped in front of the bus and happened to be passing by the place where she got the vaccine, so we're blaming the vaccine. What do we know she died from? Was it an aneurysm that just all of a sudden decided to pop, but it happened to be after the fact she got the vaccine? I mean, we don't know this. And for you to use that as a reason to not get a vaccine when you are one of the higher risk categories simply because of the fact that you are a person of color, which we know, given our society, that one, you're not going to get the same treatment as a white person in the hospital. You're just not. And two, genetically, it's going to hit you harder. But because you read a story about something that now is just feeding into your fear, you're choosing not to educate yourself about the efficacy of the science behind the vaccine and choosing to endanger your life over something. And I kind of tossed my hands up because one, it makes me so angry, and I don't have a great filter, which is interesting being an actor, that I don't have a great filter. And so I just kind of had to throw my hands up and, well, just do your research, please. And here's a website to go look at. And so, yeah, I have a challenge with that. Calm the shit down. Actually, interestingly, it would have been not to shave the beard. That is the only decision that I made that it's not a regret, because it really did teach me. And I don't believe in regrets. It's always a learning experience, and it's where we are in that current situation. So there's no reason you could regret that, because you did what you did at the time with all that you had at your disposal. So you didn't know any better. So how can you regret that? It was a choice that I made, discounting the truth of who I am and what I know my brand to be. And that I've never fit into a mold. And as marketability, yes, it might be easier to market that one product, but that product isn't who I am. And so that was the one thing, because then that set me back, because then I spent extra money on new headshots and extra money on footage and extra money and time is precious. And so I find that listening to people who don't truly get you because it fits their formula of what they're selling, as opposed to recognizing that that's what their job is and how they're making their product work, which doesn't have anything necessarily to do with my product and what I'm trying to do. And that if I'm going to have people on my team, they have to be able to get what my product is in order to be able to sell that product. I mean, Jen talks about the Shark Tank all the time. But if they don't understand the product, they're not going to invest in it, and they're not going to be able to market it. And that doesn't mean that you've got to change your product. It's a damn good product. They're just not getting it. Right? The Ring doorbell is a product everybody wanted. No one jumped on that shit. I'm the Ring doorbell. Nobody's jumping on this shit, but trust me, once people start to see how it works in their lives, it's going to be in every freaking household. I am the Ring doorbell. Well, I don't know. There's a lot of stars that were, where I was just background standing behind them or in front of them. I don't know. Gina Gershon was on the sofa and I was right there with her. So, I mean, that was kind of interesting. And we had an exchange back and forth. I mean, I wasn't allowed to say anything, but she's talking directly to my character. Christina Baranski and Cynthia Nixon are standing behind me on the set of The Gilded Age and are talking about politics and what's happening in New York with this pandemic and that sort of stuff. And so I, of course, turned around, and you're not supposed to talk to them. You don't talk to the stars, but it's like, oh, girl, I got an opinion about this. So I turned around and I said, excuse me for, interjecting into the conversation, but Ms. Baranski, I fully agree with you. This city is this city and will always be this city. And it's gone through rough times and it's adapted itself. And I think that this city is becoming much more of a inhabitant city as opposed to an investor city. And I think the people that love it are here and are going to make it what it has always professed itself to be, which is an amazing, vibrant city of creativity and passion and experience and theater and all of that because the money's gone out of the air. And I said, but it's going to take some political leadership. And then I turned to Ms. Nixon and I said, but of course. To which Ms. Baranski said, well, I would really prefer her to stay my sister right now. But I said, well, there's always time. You guys. Being on set with big names and all of that is really fantastic. Frances McDormand is amazing. And I find her to be sort of an inspiration because she never fit into a mold either. And she has come into her own now, and people are starting to recognize that. I think the work that he does is amazing. The work that the Coen brothers do is amazing. So there's a lot of people that I think in their work, my type, my brand would work for. But as far as exciting and passion in the work, there are things that your generation is doing, that you guys are doing, that is, I kind of equate it to John Waters in the early days, where he was just making stuff because it was a passion and it was a joy and it was quirky and off and got an amazing following because of what it's saying and just the unique bizarreness of it, and that it really did push that into the norm, allowing, Hairspray to happen, which then becomes a musical, which then becomes Harvey Fierstein, which then becomes, there's that entire chain of events that occurs because of young people who have a passion, who have a vision, and are doing their own shit, that then people start to recognize, and it does change. And I find that much more satisfying and much more fulfilling. There is a couple of New York artists that I love. Johan Wallstrom, I find to be an amazing artist in its abstract, but also very politically motivated awareness art. David Paul Kay is also a wonderful artist in New York. Laurent Ilibas, I can't say his name, it's French. He's done some nice stuff. There's a guy in, I think it's Peru. He's on Instagram, Mateo something. I'm so bad with names. There's also a glass artist who does amazingly delicate work. He's also on Facebook, Cremini something like that. There's also a tattoo artist in New York, CJ Tattoo. His skin art is astounding, absolutely gorgeous. The advice for people in the field is the same advice that I would give in a relationship or in life. And that is one, first, know yourself, know your truth. Do not discount that reality. We get to a point in our lives, we've gone through, and you guys are still learning all of this crap. I think it's easier for you now in this time, but where you are now, that's going to change over time, but the truth and reality of who you are doesn't change. It's just the experiences and the abilities change over time. And so at your age, allow everything to happen. Experience as much as you possibly can. Feel the heartbreak, feel the euphoria, embrace every moment of it, and allow it to help you become and grow into that wholeness, so that later in life, when your partner presents themselves, or the opportunity for the work presents itself, or the challenge presents itself, that you are so sure and confident of who you are that you won't discount that out of the expectation of what that person, that job, that thing, outside source that you're interpreting that that's what they want of you. Because that's when you fall into the trap, and that's when you make the mistake. I discounted myself with my previous partner. I said, why the hell did you do that? I got out of that relationship. I said, I will never, ever do that again. And a year later, walking down the street, this man I saw, and I knew immediately that's the one and that's right. And I told him right up front, this is who I am. I am my mother, and we are not a kind and gentle people. My tongue will wound you because it is biting. But I know that you don't deserve that, and I will absolutely do my best to not do that, but I will fail. And if you can accept that and recognize that I know you don't deserve it, and I'm doing everything within my power to not be that person, because that's not right, and it's not what you deserve, and it's not what I deserve to give, then we'll be fine. But you need to know it up front that this is who I am. And he was able to do that, and I was able to become a more gentle, compassionate person because of that. I would like to see more recognition from society at large of the importance of art in general. Not just in film art, but in art, in creativity, in expression, in every facet, dance, painting, sculpture, all of it, all art, that this is from the very earliest days, one of the remnants of things that we have, it's art. Art in writing, the stories that we tell about ourselves. That's humanity, and that's the history that we have. Cave paintings on the wall, that's art. And it has told us about that culture, about those peoples. And we choose to negate that and say it's not important. But that's what our history has shown us is humanity and teaches humanity. And we need to start recognizing that and funding that and nurturing that, because it ultimately allows us as individuals, but also as a society, to grow and be better. This is awful to say, Bubble Witch. I am addicted to Bubble Witch, the game. It's a game app of match 3, it's kind of like pool, but you're shooting bubbles. You've got different levels, and it is awful. It is awful, 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 but I play it whenever there's a downtime. I'm not reading. It's on, I'm listening to the news and I'm playing Bubble Witch. I'm talking to my husband and I'm playing Bubble Witch. We're on the train in the quiet car and I'm playing Bubble Witch. It is the numbing brain distraction. Unless I've got work that I need to do, if I'm on my phone, I'm checking emails, I'm checking Instagram, I'm checking Facebook, and then I'm on Bubble Witch. As far as career-wise, the biggest thing that I'm struggling with is the next level, cracking that next level. This is both a curse and a blessing. It keeps me unique. It is very niche. It is not commercial. It is not easy. And when you don't have anyone other than yourself recognizing the uniqueness and being able to say that I can be in a tuxedo with this. I can be high fashion haute couture with this. I can be a bum on the street with this, but I could also be a CEO with this. It doesn't fit into the mold. It doesn't fit into the stereotype. And so the challenge is finding an agent or a manager and casting directors who recognize that I represent a big sect of society, that doesn't fit into this normal mold that, but it's still castable, and that my talent is there. And if you want to cast me in the lead role, this grows back. But it takes months to grow out. And so if you want me to shave it, then you better give me some reason to do it. Because right now, this is what is getting me the jobs. This is what's getting me, this is what's getting me on set and keeping me active and in the moment, in the performance. I don't know. There are things that I know that family has an immediate need with. Traveling would always be an amazing thing because you get to experience so much and learn so much. As far as industry-wise, career-wise, investing in the future of people like you, being able to recognize work that is being done by people that I know who always struggle with the financing, and that's what's keeping them from doing that work. Being able to just say, here's the money, go do it. Make it fantastic, but do it with passion. Go do it. If it was a blank check that we could just write, funding art in school, funding art, the stuff that you guys had to pay for to get where you are, the studying of filmmaking and screenwriting and lighting and directing and casting and all of those things, and painting and writing and all of that should be funded. And so if there's a blank check, why not just fund it? There's nothing else. It's just the beard and my fabulousness. Whoever's watching this, definitely follow these guys and look them up and follow their Instagram and share their work with people that you know, and the passion, and anyone else that you've got that's doing this sort of stuff, promote them and just like them and make a comment on their social media. It makes a difference. So yeah, that's all.